Welcome to another episode of Vastly Sage. My name is Amanda Dambuza. Today we talk about pain and how you can rise above it. And I've got the most amazing young man with me who's going to tell us a little bit about her story. I hope you are ready for this. And for this particular one, I'm just going to receive and listen and just prod here and there because it's a story that deserves to be heard. Keatlegile, Mabena, how are you?
I'm doing very well.
Yes.
And my heart is full of gratitude.
Why?
I think now the universe has conspired. I was talking to my sister few weeks ago.
Yes.
And saying to her, you remember the day we left the uplifting branch, the Vastly Sage?
Yes.
I said to myself, this year I should be sitting here.
Oh.
And I'm glad that today I'm occupying this seat and I'm having the conversation with the incredibly amazing and phenomenal Amanda Dembo.
Oh, thank you.
So this should be the day I should remember not to forget.
Oh, man, that's so special. So you manifested this day.
Yeah, it came to existence.
And we actually met at my branch as well.
Yes.
And as you're saying, but we had been chatting before that. We
Yes.
chatted a bit online, and before you published your book, and we'll talk a bit more about that later. How are you doing? Tell us about your journey, where you've come from and where you are now, because I think it's such a powerful story. And I mean, you told a bit of it when you got the mic at the branch, but I felt that it's a story that needed to be heard more because young people have gone through so much, but not many have risen as you have done. So tell us where did it all start?
I'm from Miletswane, a small village, and regarding the story that I compiled into a book
Yes.
titled "Breaking the Chain," it is about the chain that I've broken in life, and those were the chains of being upset. Those were the chains of feeling lonely. Those were the chains of feeling broken inside.
Yes.
And those were also the chains of feeling that I can't deal with myself anymore. And this pain was being brought by the fact that my mom died a very brutal death. She was butchered with an axe. So I still remember it like it was yesterday.
How old were you?
I was 15.
And you're how old now?
I'm 25. Yes, so
So it's very fresh.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
very fresh. And I think with pain of losing your mom, it's a loss that's always sit inside of you. And it has been a huge roller coaster for me. And I had to rise above everything.
If you don't mind me asking you, did you witness the murder? Did you see the horrific thing that had happened to your mom? Do you know who did it?
Yeah, I know who did it. It was a boyfriend to her. And my sister and I, we were the first people to arrive at the scene. And when we got there, we saw a key holder full of blood. And my mind was already in denial to say this can't be happening because that's the day she went to court because they were sorting out the matter of that guy not adhering to the
A restraining order.
restraining order, yes. So when we got there, we got into different rooms, and by the time we got into the main bedroom, we saw her clothes on bed, and she was not there. I became more frustrated.
Yeah.
And we screamed very loud. That was my loudest scream. And when we got to the lounge, she was lying there on top of blood. The blood all over the carpet.
Yes.
The blood all over the cupboards, showing no sign of life. And that's when we got the most traumatic experience of our life. And life has never been the same.
But why is it that you children, her children, were the first ones on the scene? Why weren't elderly people, older people going on the scene?
Because we were living at my parents' house. So I used to live with my grandmom.
Okay.
because she was sick. She had arthritis. So I had to live in a neighboring community with her. And my sister was the one who used to stay with my mom.
And
so
your
during
sister's
school,
younger than you?
Yes. So during school holidays, I would go home and visit them. So on that day, there are so many things that happened. And it's on the very same day that I realized things happen the way they are
Yes,
supposed to.
yes, yes.
Because I was at the barber shop at that time and the electricity went off. And when I got home, I I was asking myself, where was God? I think at some point my relationship with God was not healthy, was very unhealthy, because I was asking myself, as we call you the omnipotent God, the
Yeah.
God with all power, how could you dare?
Where were you? Yeah.
Yes, where were you at that point? And the most painful thing, I felt that that guy was owing me so many answers, countless answers. And to say to God, how could you even allow this guy to take a cowardly way of doing things? Because that guy hanged himself the very same day that my mom was killed that brutally.
So you had to deal with the double trauma on the same day.
Yes, and
And I mean, you've written this about this in your book. So I want people to still get your book and
Yes.
read the story, because I think it is worth reading. I want to ask. I mean, it's an incredibly traumatic thing to go through as a child.
Yeah.
How have you picked yourself up? And I just want to zone in on your mental state at the moment, reflecting back on all the years that you've had to, and I imagine it's an everyday struggle for you.
Yeah.
How have you picked yourself up?
So I used to laugh very loud because I was trying to shut down the suicidal thoughts and also prevent myself from the self-harm. And people thought I was very strong. But there were times where I would look at myself on the mirror and say, you are not as strong as people think you are. And that alone, it was killing me inside. I think most of the time I was practicing emotional avoidance and calling it optimism or being
Yeah.
positive. And it's only later that I realized that that was toxic positivity, because at all times I was saying to myself, you'll get over it.
Yeah.
And not saying to myself, you didn't turn out okay.
Yes, yes.
And there is something sitting inside of you. And as I grew up and tried to heal through that pain, I had to sit with myself, because this was a conversation that I never wanted to have with myself. And this was a conversation that mattered.
Yes.
Because when you understand your pain, that's when you can lay your childhood traumas to rest. If you haven't confronted the pain,
Yeah.
then you'll not get anywhere, and
Yes.
you'll never be able to overcome that pain.
So you were suicidal, you said.
Yes, I
You
was.
wanted to harm yourself
Yes.
because you just couldn't take it. Did you ever see a psychologist? Anyone? Did you ever talk to anybody about it? About the suffering?
Yes, I saw the psychologist when, during that week of planning of the funeral. And at that point, I never wanted anything to do with the psychologist. All I wanted is my mother back,
Yeah.
which was not possible and which will never be
Yes.
possible. So that's exactly what was stealing my joy, to say that I'm so afraid to turn the next page,
Yes.
knowing that she will never be part of the next
Yes,
chapter.
yes.
So that was the most excruciating thing in my life. And I had to sit and face my demons. I was sleeping a lot. I will get into my room at university and shut the door and close the curtains, because all I wanted was to be in the dark. And I realized that my relationship with God is getting messed up.
Yes.
And I'm asking him questions that I will never get answers. That's all. And that's when I woke up the other day and I went straight to my Bible. And during that time, it was a long period without me reading the Bible. Then on that day, I woke up and I went straight to the Bible, and I opened the Bible, And the scripture that I came across was Isaiah 41 verse 10, which says, be still, for I am your God,
your God, yeah.
and don't be intimidated, for I am with you, and I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will uphold you
Yeah.
with my righteous right hand. And that's when I realized that I can truly trust in God's unchanging nature. And since from that day, I've called God an unchangeable changer, because he changed my situation but remained the same.
Yes. So you never then saw a therapist. You just kind of decided you're going to deal with this between yourself and God. You should be fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
I've never went to a psychologist. Then I dealt with the pain on my own, and it was not the easiest of all tasks
Yeah.
for me to do that. I had to be in that space where I say, pain is a circumstance, but suffering is a choice. To say, Keatlegile, it's okay. You're not responsible for your traumas,
Yeah.
but you are responsible for your healing.
Yes. And then I guess the question then that I asked, which is, how did you do it? What is how did you go about rising? So you found you got centered in your spirituality.
Yes.
And what are the things that you think, because not every person that goes through trauma has the ability to say, actually, you know what, I'm going to do this thing between myself and God. We should sort this thing out. What would you say are some of the things that prevented you from self-harming, firstly, and from taking your own life? Because I guess the Bible, you reach for it at some point, but what else kept you going? I mean, you've been able to first of all build a successful life so far. You're a lecturer at the
A
university.
very successful career.
Excuse me, let me not be, please. Can I just do this the right way? You've built a very successful life. You went to school, so you see a very traumatic thing that no child should ever have to see. Your mother lying there lifeless, and you want to harm yourself. You want to take your own life because the pain is too much. You're 15 years old, but you go on and you study. You graduate.
Yeah. And I graduate with 28 distinctions out of 32
I mean,
modules.
cum laude. Hey?
I'm that craft.
Born that way, baby.
Yeah, part of my DNA.
And you went on, you graduated with a master's in
Yes.
development studies.
In population and
Population.
sustainable development.
Population and sustainable development.
Yes.
And you're a PhD student.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, how did you do that? What manner of strength is that? That to just drag yourself out of a deep, dark hole. And I mean, I know exactly how I did it, right? Yeah. And I know the struggles that I continue to battle with till today. So if somebody is in a really traumatic situation, what would you say is that one thing that they should just keep going on and keep focusing on? Why were your studies so important for you?
My studies were very important because I believed that education is a passport to my better future. And it is an instrument that I will use, that I will allow myself and allow God to use me in order to impart the wealth of wisdom. And in terms of what kept me there when I had these suicidal thoughts, I believe my name. My name, it means I'm successful.
Yes.
So I had to go back and say, the minute my parent gave me this name, they knew exactly what who I'm supposed to become and what I'm meant to be.
Yes.
So my name, Keatlegile, it has kept me there. And I had to back up that name with hard work.
Yes.
Because I couldn't have became the true epitome of my name if I was not putting so much of hard work into it. And I've never been foreign to hard work. And I also wanted to break that shell of poverty.
Yes.
And education, I believe, that was the weapon for me to get into those spaces of influence and power. And the second thing I believe is my sister. Because I had to be on the front line.
Yes.
As young as I was.
But you had to grow up now and be
Yes.
the parent.
And be the parent.
Yes.
So at that young age, I had to be a parent. I had to be a brother to her.
Yeah.
And I saw that she draws so much of strength from me. So that's exactly what kept me there. And I said to myself, Keatlegile, you must understand that killing yourself, it's not going to stop the pain. So what people need to understand is that death will never kill the pain. It is the way in which people transfer the pain to the next person.
Yeah.
And having to
Yeah.
think, if I'm to wake up tomorrow and I'm dead, that means I will be bombarding her with a lot of pain.
Layer on top of
Yes,
layer on top of
then
layer of
that
trauma.
means I'm perpetuating the continuous cycle of pain.
Yes.
So I said to myself, you need to find the science of life.
Yes.
You need to reclaim your meaning of existence. You need to find your reason of being.
Yes.
Because for you not to be part of that incident, it says that God still have greater plans than you have for yourself.
Yes.
And things happened the way they were supposed to.
Yeah.
I didn't understand at that time, but later on I had to say, God, thank you. I've asked you so many questions, but now I'm grateful because of you have placed me in those positions where I can influence other people, where I can turn my pain into purpose,
Yes.
where I can turn my scars into stars. And I've written a book.
Yes.
And it was not easy to boldly write that book. I remember there was a time where I wanted to cancel everything, to say Control Alt and backspace, because I wasn't sure if I'm ready to open a can of worms.
Yeah.
To say to people, you can ask me questions about it. And those can be questions that I never anticipated,
Yes.
which are going to peel off the wound,
Yeah,
to
and
peel off the
trigger
scars.
the pain again.
Yeah, and I always say to people, this is a pain I never get used to. Because on Mother's Day is a trigger for me.
Yeah.
On her birthday is a trigger for me. On that day she died, it's a trigger for me. But I have to live it with it and realize that after everything there is life.
Yes. Yes.
And there is something that I realize about being attached and being connected. There was a time I failed to define who I am because of so much of me that are attached to her.
Yes.
And
So did you feel like a significant part of you died with her when she died?
yeah, something died inside of me. And there was a time when my body wanted to leave, but my soul was very tired.
Yeah.
And I got to that point where I was tired of being tired. And I'm talking about the tiredness that even long sleep
Yeah.
cannot fix.
Yeah. And so what are the conversations you have with your sister? Is your sister okay?
My sister is doing perfectly well.
Yeah.
I believe she has always looked at me and say, I believe you are my source of strength. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be as strong as I am.
Yeah.
The other day she was saying to me, you had to be the person who wrote about this book and this story because I don't think I was going to be able to write about it, because every time when you talk about it, there are tears that are being wiped. There are souls that are being revived. And you have made sure that this book, it becomes a legacy. You have left your footprints in the sand of time.
What do you do every single day to make sure that you don't go back into that dark place? Because like you said, triggers are everywhere. And forget triggers. It's still very fresh and it's something that will never leave you.
Yes.
Absolutely not. So what do you do every day? What are the practical things that you do every day? If you just give me 3, I'll be happy. That help you every single day to wake up and conquer the day.
I believe each and every day I wake up and thank God.
Yeah.
And say to God, I could have chose to title this book The Love That Kills or The Bleeding Wound. But each and every day I'm awake And for me to climb out of bed and being awake, it is enough evidence that I still have a long way to go, a destiny that I should fulfill. And my prayer each and every day is to say to God, reveal me to me. Let it be that I become part of a bigger picture.
Yeah.
I say to him, it's okay for me to be blessed, but let it be that I become a blessing to other
To
people.
others, yes.
And that alone, it keeps me intact
Yeah.
and reminds me of who I am and what I'm meant to be. And looking back at where I come from, I always say to myself, Keatlegile Mabena, you need to take yourself out of that dark place. You are entirely up to yourself.
Yes.
People can meet you as far as you have met yourself, but it's up to you to get you to where
Yes.
you want to be.
Yes.
So that drives me each and every day. And now I've been full of gratitude inside my heart, more especially because we are living in moments of turmoil and adversity.
Yeah.
Where we are being reminded each and every day that tomorrow is not guaranteed.
Yeah.
And I always say to God, I might not be feeling okay, but you have trusted me with opportunities and platforms. And let it be that I occupy these positions that you have placed me on with so much of divine wisdom, the divine humility and grace. So having to understand that God has helped me to break the chains, and my breaking points have prepared me for my breakthroughs. That alone, it makes me to keep going and pushing.
Yes.
And one thing about me, I've always wanted to be bigger, better, and greater.
Yes, yes.
I've always wanted to be the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
So that alone,
it.
that alone, it pushes me every day.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So you've got an internal motivational clock yourself.
Yeah, I'm that one person who look at myself and the mirror, I'm like, Rabatsena today.
Hey.
And when I go outside, no any external force that will tell me that you're not good enough, because of me being able to understand the person that I am and who I'm becoming.
Yes.
And to overcome and become was not easy.
Yeah.
Because to be quite honest, becoming it's hard. But staying the same is even harder.
Yes.
So I had to choose my battle. Each and every day when I wake up, I'm saying, are you being stagnant? Or,
Yeah. What's happening?
Are you becoming?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's enough motivation for me to keep pushing.
Yeah.
To say that I want to be experiencing all the versions of myself.
Yes.
To say that when I leave this world, I would have exhausted myself.
Yeah.
I would have experienced all the versions of myself. I would have expanded my horizons.
Yes.
And tapped into each and every space that will allow me to bail out my imprisoned power, potential, and perseverance.
So you are 25 years old.
Yes.
And you pretty much, you're quite young. Let's just put it out there.
Yeah.
You're young and you do still have an entire life ahead of you to live, whatever that is, because only God knows what that is. So I am so grateful that you chose life, because it's not easy for a lot of people to choose life when darkness is the most comfortable thing to do, or to fall into and stay in. You chose to rise above what was an incredibly difficult and traumatic experience to become the person that you are working on becoming. And I want to know, so as we wrap up this conversation, what's next for you? So you want to finish your PhD, then what? What are you looking forward to the most in life?
Yeah, for me to, I wanted to always change my title.
Yeah.
And it's so fulfilling. It gives me so much of deep joy.
Yes.
The satisfaction to be the first of many.
Yes.
In my family.
So you want to be called doctor?
Yes, let me pave my way to cancel the MR title. So yeah, I want to get my PhD and I'm doing a research on gender-based violence because I thought that will do me justice to say that I need to do an extensive research on what has affected me in the past.
Yes, you're trying to answer your own questions. Then.
Yes.
I know all about
Yes,
that.
so that was a smart way for me to do it.
Yes.
Unlike being in that space where I want to kill and harm and destroy.
Yes,
So
yes.
I took a smart route. And what's on the pipeline, I think with me, I want to become the vessel of light where the darkness abound.
Yeah.
Because I now know that the wound, it is the place where light enters you.
Yes.
And for me to be in those spaces where I will influence young people, the young generation, to say that I've wrote a book to say to you, it is possible.
Yeah.
And you should not go about limiting yourself.
Yeah.
You can, I always say to people, be everything that I'm not. I might be the first one in my family to get a master's degree. Do more. And that alone, it will give me the satisfaction to say that by the time your life flashes before your eyes, you have impacted somebody, you have been loyal to somebody's dream. That's why each and every day I say to myself, you've got a bigger project than the person that you are. And you have to stretch in order to reach other people.
Yes.
And make sure that each and every person become the best version of themselves.
Yes. Well, sounds like you've got the recipe. I wish you all the best with your studies.
Thank you
I
very
wish you
much.
even more bests, 10 times best with your life. And I hope that as you journey through your own life and confront that pain and that trauma, because it will come back in some shape or form. It will show itself up in whatever it will be. But I hope that you stand strong in your spirituality and your belief that God actually chose you for a reason. And I hope that you don't let the pressure of being the parent and being the big brother get the better of you, because you also need that hug. You also need that someone to hold your hand.
Don't let my 20s pass me by.
Don't let your 20s pass you by. You are heading towards the end of your 20s. If I have to just flash that. No, but you're in the middle of your 20s. It's when you also start to uncover who you truly are, and you start to really get to know yourself better. And I have no doubt that as you journey along, you're going to find who you are and who you were meant to be. And without a shadow of doubt, your mom is proud of you.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'm proud of you. Your mom is proud of you. And I'm sure your sister is immensely proud of you. And thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your story with us.
It's a pleasure. And thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure. It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
I hope you never lose that smile. Well, that was another episode of Vastly Sage, a truly moving story. And I just wish that no child ever has to experience that. As a society, we really have to do better. We have to seek the answers deep inside of ourselves. We have to make sure that no child ever has to suffer this kind of trauma. And I hope that you are sitting wherever you are, and you're also looking at your own life and reflecting back on your own traumas and finding that one thing that centers you, that guides you. Because when life throws such harsh boulders at you, you have to hang on to something. He said it, taking your life is not the option or the solution, because you're just transferring the pain onto other people. I think that is incredibly powerful, and that pain is a circumstance, but suffering is a choice. So I hope that you reflect on that and you find what works for you as well. Sending you all love and encouragement. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.